welcome to Food All You Never Wanted to Know. We're in the greenhouse today. It's December 16th, but we have a little reprieve on the cold. It was freezing just a little bit ago. But down here you can see what's happening with the garlic. These are the garlics that will be probably just garlic scallions. They've popped out of the mulch and they're doing real well. They didn't mind when it was 22 degrees here just about a week or so ago. And then if we come over here, before we go in the little greenhouse, I'd like you to see this. If you see any of these, do not discard those. Those are praying mantis egg cases. Okay?
That one may have already...
It might have. But if you see any of these anywhere, usually they attach to something like wire or a branch. And praying mantises are good for your garden. They will eat bad bugs. Now, I learned when one of our sons was a little guy, about 2 or 3 years old, don't touch them because they can bite.
Don't touch the praying mantis.
Don't touch the praying mantis because they can bite. I was showing him actually there was a praying mantis that got on his leg, a big, huge one, at a park we were at, and I said, "Oh, don't worry, it's a praying mantis. They're nice, they won't hurt you." So he reached down and touched it and it bit him. So don't be touching them, but they're good because they eat bad bugs. Now, if we can come over here, we're gonna walk into the little greenhouse, and as you can see, I've dug a couple holes. One is here, one is on the other side of the rosemary bush. And again, because our soil kind of ends there, that's shale, okay? I never try to go beyond that because that's kind of worthless. So what we're doing today is I'm going to put in some potting mix that was used for other things. And rather than just throw it out or put it in the compost pile, which I do with some of it, I'm putting it in the hole. And also some things that I pulled out. That's some of the parsley that was sort of withery. And this is some of the pea shoot mix with some of the pea shoots still there. It's real dry because, of course, I haven't been bothering watering it because we already harvested it. And when it gets old, it gets a little bit toughish. So...
You mean the pea shoots themselves get tough?
Yeah, once you've picked them maybe twice, they're really not... I just usually get rid of them at that point. I guess you could keep them. If you were starving, I mean, there's nothing wrong with old pea shoots, then you would want to cook them. Okay, so, but what they add to the soil is a little bit of nitrogen, okay? Now, I'm gonna just do that a little bit and then before we do that, I'm gonna grab the hose. Okay? I'm gonna water this because I have not been watering in here. While I'm at it, I'll water some of the parsley that grew itself. Anyway. Okay, so I'm going to water this just a bit, give some moisture underneath. You could also put some shredded paper in the hole, because I'll be planting right away. I don't expect things to be composting down very much. But these will kind of sit here and gradually decompose, and I'll water that a little more later. Oh boy, the dustiness kind of got me.
Yeah, the hose is spurting a little bit because we had all the hoses drained.
Yeah. So I'll turn that off. Oh boy, okay. And then this soil that was on the raised bed already, I'm going to be putting back, and as you can see, it does not have a whole lot of humus in it. That's the organic materials that help things to grow. I've worked on it a little bit, and whenever you see these little roots, remember to just kind of take them out. I usually keep them in a pile. They're I forget what. Bindweed? I think those are bindweed roots. They are a pest. Oh, I went and killed a... Oh well. That parsley plant's no good. Anyway, it's okay. They grew themselves. They're just a bonus.
We can rinse that off and eat it.
That's true. We can. Okay. I'm bringing as much of the soil back over as I can without being ridiculous. I'm actually getting hot in here, folks. Woo! It's pretty hot. Now, what I'm doing today is a total absolute experiment. Usually this time of year, I will start germinating things in the house before I plant them out, or I will have started them early, like in September. But this fall kind of got away from us a bit, partially because there were still things in these beds, and I hemmed and hawed about getting them out. So anyway, some of that doesn't have anything under it, so we'll see if that makes a difference. What I would like to do here is an absolute experiment with some root crops, just to see what happens. All right, and I don't know, I probably should water just a teensy bit. Ooh. Just dampen the soil just a bit. And I should have grabbed a little hand shovel before I came in here. Whew. So let me see what happens if I just do this with a shovel. I'm gonna do, I will water this very well shortly. I'm making little rows for turnips and beets. So they don't need to be too far apart. Let's see. I don't know if that's 8 inches. I don't know. They could be closer, but again, our soil is not, I mean, I just made it a little deeper. But okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 rows. And in this section, I'm going to be planting 3 things. Now notice, this is my really chintzy little map. I learned when we were 4-H leaders, you always make a map. This is not very professional, but I always put at the top which bed it is, where it is, and when it was planted. So this is fall 2021. It's the small hoop house in the big hoop house. And in this little front bed, we're going to be putting Golden Globe turnips from Fairy Morse, Cylindra beets from Franchi, and what is this? Oh my goodness. Mezzalunga Bianca Coletto Viola. Okay.
And what is that?
It's another turnip. It's a long turnip. That's the lunga. This is Italian. So they're long with purple at the top. The Cylindra beets are like a cylinder. They're long too. So they'll pop up a little bit out of the ground, and boy, am I getting sweaty in here. Anyway, and the Golden Globe turnips are supposed to be sweeter than regular turnips. I have not been a turnip lover, and so this is more experimenting for me. But my question is, will these turn into turnips and beets? Or will they just stay stringy and little? It could be that they'll wait until early spring. I don't know. But I'm going to plant these and get back to you in just a minute. Okay, so I've watered this in pretty well. I have 2 little rows of the Golden Globe turnip, 3 rows of the beets, and 1 row of the long turnip. And then as we come down here, I did the same thing in this little bed. This is where the peanuts were, and I remembered that because I found a peanut that I missed. Anyway, so I made 4 little rows. The first row I'm going to put crimson radish in. We don't eat a lot of radishes, although this summer we realized that you can eat the tops. You can stir fry the tops, and they're just like greens. They're really good. They're in the cabbage family, believe it or not. So anything that will bother cabbage will bother radishes.
We also found that if you slice the radishes and stir fry them, they are not as hot.
Right.
They become not quite sweet, but almost.
Right. So if you have a bunch of radishes that did turn out too hot, that's something that you can do with them. And then I'm going to try some Walla Walla onions. These are supposed to be planted in the fall if you're in a place that won't get ridiculously cold like Maine or Alaska. Obviously, I didn't get to them in the fall, so we're going to try planting them now. You can also plant them in the early spring, but they won't ever get quite as big. So anyway, little my trusty nail pad here.
Okay.
Just going to do a single row.
And we'll be back after these are planted.
Oh no, I can watch you plant. You
Yep.
can watch me plant these. These are the onion seeds. They look like little squarish pebbles, and they're black. So I already did the radish here, and the onions I already put in there. And sometimes I do them singly. Sometimes I do 2 in a spot. And any of you who have watched Charles Dowding, his YouTube channel, he suggests planting root crops in groups of 2 or 3 or 4. He claims that you might not get quite as big a vegetable, but you will get you'll get more in the space. Of course, I think he puts them a foot apart, so we're not going to do that. But 2, I'm putting a couple extra in case it doesn't
And what are you
germinate
doing now?
well. I'm covering them. And I just use the back of my little hand shovel. I cover them and I pat it down. You need to make sure that the soil contacts the seed. If it doesn't contact the seed will dry out and won't germinate well. So anyway, and as soon as I do that, I'm going to grab the hose, which is over here.
Okay.
Hopefully I won't
No.
spray my helper. Okay. Okay. I think I was about to spray my helper, so anyway, I'm watering those in. You need to water very well, and don't do it when it's late in the day or too early in the morning. You want to do it when it's the winter time, late fall, winter, when it's midday, when it's as warm as it's going to get. So in here, in this second greenhouse, I'm telling you, I've been pretty hot. So it must be in the upper 70s in here, at least. So you water these in, and while I'm here, I'm going to water our wonderful rosemary bush. And we'll see you in the next video.
Now, you had mentioned something about manure.
Oh, that's right. Forgot to mention that. In a winter greenhouse or hoop house, do not fertilize with manures, even if they're composted manure. What you want to use is, like I put the pea shoot.
An alfalfa meal.
Alfalfa meal is something that you can use. If you've seen any of Pam Dolan's information, she claims, and I have not researched this yet, but she claims that if you use manures, you'll get more nitrates in your food, and that's not exactly what you want. So don't use manures in the winter hoop house. Another thing is something else, some other thing. If I remember, and I don't mention it in the video, I will put it below.
Well,
Nitrates, okay.
we did put the pea shoots in here.
Right, we put the pea shoots, which give nitrogen in a different way. Pick your vegetables later in the day, on a sunny day. That will minimize the nitrates in your plants, especially leafy greens like lettuce and kale and spinach. Spinach is one of the worst ones, I believe. So don't pick those greens early in the morning. Pick them later in the day on a warm, sunnier day in the hoop house. So anyway, this is food, and I'm sure you didn't want to know about nitrates, but it is important to know if you have a greenhouse or hoop house. You need to know some of these things. And please like, share, subscribe. Take care.